What's up, y'all? It's the homie Vic getting after it once again, and make this real quick. I would be remiss if I didn't post something about what's going on in sports. You know, I'm a big sports guy, and this right here, what's going on, is pretty close to, about as close as you get to sports Nirvana, for me at least. You know, the holidays are my favorite time of the year, and that just from about basically the end of November all the way on into December. Then you come into January and you got, guess what, NFL playoffs. Just doesn't get any better than that for me. And as usual, firing up the grill. I will be firing up the grill. I know I'm training for a marathon. You guys heard me say I'm running the little half marathon for Casa Permanente. That notwithstanding, something is going to get on that grill between now and the marathon. The marathon is on Super Bowl Sunday, which is surprising that I would be doing anything except lounging around on Super Bowl Sunday. But between now and then, despite my diet and my rigorous training activities, I will find a way to get that grill fired up for one of these weekends or in the playoffs. It's just tradition. I got to do it that way. This is sports Nirvana, man, I'm talking about. But this week, 4 games, 2 games Saturday, 2 football games Sunday, and then the college, the NCAA College Football Championship, Auburn, Cam Newton going against Oregon on Monday. Man, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Anyway, this is how it lays out. I'm coming in primarily to own my prediction, which was pretty wild. I understand earlier in the season I called it Minnesota and the Jets in the Super Bowl. It sounds ridiculous now. It sounded ridiculous then. It really sounds ridiculous now. But, you know, I felt like Brett Favre had missed training camp, and, you know, he was off to a rocky start. But I thought he'd settle in and get his legs under him, you know, get the whole dong text behind him, and just, you know, get focused on the game and bring the Vikings back to where they were last year. I'm a big Brett Favre guy. But even stepping outside of it, I just thought, man, there's no way this cat is going to be playing like this the whole season. He played poorly. The Vikings didn't even make the playoffs. I did call Minnesota and the Jets in the Super Bowl with Minnesota winning. The Jets still have a shot to get there, but I tell you, they don't look as strong as I thought they would look coming into the postseason. So, you know, obviously the favorite right now, the pick for everybody is the New England Patriots. Lord help me, please, please. I have nothing against the East Coast. I really don't. But I don't want to see, I'm tired of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm tired of the New England Patriots. Just somebody do away with these cats, man. They play great football. They play great football, and at least there's somebody to hate. Because I tell you what, I would still much rather see them deep in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl than the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are in the playoffs. I'm so glad that's the first game. Get them out of the way. New Orleans should take care of business pretty quickly. I'm sorry, people of Seattle. Nothing against you. Nothing against your city. You know, well, I don't know about nothing against your city. Maybe it's that dreary, you know, rain-soaked vibe. You guys got the gray and green. What is that? Silver, green, gray and green uniforms for the season. They just have never been an exciting team to watch. I mean, even when they were good, and they were good a few years ago with Sean Alexander running the football and Matt Castle a little younger and healthier, they were a decent football team. They still were not exciting to watch, you know, and now it's just abysmal. Please, New Orleans Saints, take care of that business, get the first game out of the way, and then you got Indianapolis and the Colts going up against the Jets. That should be an interesting game because, you know, with Peyton Manning at the helm, there's always a shot. They have not looked as strong lately, but neither have the Jets. So, you know, I wouldn't say these are two of the premier AFC teams matching up against each other, but they're just on that level where it should be make out for a really, really good game. Then you got Sunday, Kansas City and Baltimore. Another interesting matchup. We don't know a lot about Kansas City unless you've been really, really following them. They kind of surprised a lot of people this season. And, you know, they might, obviously Baltimore and that defense is really strong and experienced. But that said, Kansas City kind of has, I think Baltimore's always a little shaky to me on offense. Kansas City, when they get that defense going, it's flying around. They've got a lot of energy, but Matt Castle can also get that offense going. And if that happens, Baltimore's in trouble. But I will say this, my boys, your Oakland Raiders, took it to Kansas City last week and might have done a little damage to that confidence. You know, nothing like backing into the playoffs and into a big playoff game. Kansas City might be in trouble. Then probably the marquee matchup this weekend in the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Green Bay Packers. Two good quarterbacks, really good quarterbacks. Can be some high-powered offensive weapons, although, you know, Green Bay is missing a running game, of course. And Michael Vick, you know, we've seen just sparks of greatness, stretches of greatness, and then we've also seen where enough pressure might cause him to make some mistakes. So it should be interesting. I'll tell you what's more interesting is the potential for high drama as we move into the NFC Championship. Just imagine, what if Michael Vick, the Philadelphia Eagles, versus the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Vick versus his old team for what's on the line? For a trip to the big game. That is drama. And, you know, I think it's drama a lot of people could appreciate. You know, of course, you got your Mike Vick haters. And, you know, who it doesn't matter what the man does, no matter what, you know, there's no redemption for him. Then you got the folks who are, you know, the Mike Vick apologists. And I think it's just high drama. If that winds up happening, and heaven knows if the young man makes the Super Bowl, Mike Vick makes the Super Bowl, more than likely against the New England Patriots or the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that, then it'll be, you know, it's almost like good versus evil, because unfortunately a lot of people have painted this man as just pure evil, you know, aside from the folks who look at it as, okay, he made some serious mistakes and, you know, has done his time, aside from, you know, the fact that we live in a world, in a country where a police officer can shoot a young man in the back and get about the same amount of time in jail. But we don't want to talk about that right now. I understand we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it light because people don't want to get deep like that. But in any event, you know, I think people do kind of look at that as almost like a good versus evil type of thing for the people who are Mike Vick haters. You know, talk about ratings. That would be off the charts. But remains to be seen if he can get it done. And before that happens, on Monday you got Cam Newton, the controversial situation with him, and you know that this NCAA thing is just so dirty. It's so dirty, and it's hard for me to come down on any one player because I think there's just so many of them who are doing the dirt. And it's almost like, look, if you don't get them all, don't single out one, and don't be hypocritical about, okay, well, he's ineligible, and then you let these guys from Ohio State who should have been sat down for their bowl game, but let them play even though they were accepting money. And I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid. I think the colleges make a lot of money off of these young guys, and something needs to be done about these guys who are, you know, who are really in a situation where people are profiting off of them. But unless they get, you know, to a point where they establish a really good career in the NFL, they won't see any of those profits. And you know, it's hard for someone who's come up with nothing. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying, for someone who's come up with nothing, it's hard to resist when you have an opportunity to get a little something. But anyway, that's another subject. The reality is we want to watch the game. We want to enjoy a good game on Monday, Oregon versus Auburn. Oregon, of course, has got so much speed and just so much offense. Then again, Cam Newton and you know, Auburn have got so much size and speed. Going to be a really tough matchup. I hear a lot of people saying it's impossible for Oregon. I hear a few people saying Oregon might pull it out. I lean a little bit more towards Auburn. It should be a great game, but I think Auburn will come out. My pick, can't forget about my pick. I know it didn't shake out for me as far as Minnesota and the Jets. So I'm going to modify and say that right about now it's looking like more than likely the Atlanta Falcons will meet with the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. I know the Bears are just posers. I'm sorry, Chicago. The Bears are posers. They have been all season. I haven't seen anything that's overly impressive. I'm shocked that they've gotten to where they've gotten, but I don't believe in what I'm seeing. They're posing, and they should be taken care of quickly. So that's why I think it's going to lay out New England and Atlanta Falcons. And sadly, New England looks like they're pretty much in a good rhythm to be unbeatable at this point. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. In any event, that's my pick. What's yours? Get at me, Vic at VicBigPresents.com. That's Vic with a K. And let me know what you think. In the meantime, I am Vic, the super producer, and these are my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry you had to waste 10 minutes of your life. Hope you had a good time. I did. Enjoy the games. Peace.